Oh boy. Before we begin, first I want to say this is a way far-fetched theory that is absolutely nuts. So don't take it too seriously. But I found it to be an interesting thought, so I want to share. So far in most of my theories, I try to put Celestia in a better light. Mostly because I like playing devil's advocate. And it seems like pretty much a lot of people agree that Celestia is in it for themselves. Which I do understand and why I want to try offering different perspectives on it. But for this theory, I'm going against Celestia as they seem the most appropriate for this theory. Also take note, we'll be diving a little bit into Honkai's lore, just a little, as the basis for this theory came from when I was deep diving into the lore of Honkai. And boy oh boy does it go down deep. So let's begin. It's been established before that Honkai and Genshin have similarities. The Sustainer of Heavenly Principles being based off God Kiana, Raiden Shogun being based off Raiden Mei, Scaramouche also Raiden Mei, Venti and Wendy, and many more. While not exact copies, their inspiration can't be mistaken. In fact, we know for certain that they share the same continuity. As mentioned by MiHoYo themselves, take a listen.
In the final part of main story chapter 17, Overseer Otto observed other worlds via the imaginary tree. One of these observations is Dvalin, the wind dragon from Teyvat. The other would be Fallen Rosemary, the new character we're talking about today. From the design perspective, Yae Kazumi and Coming are characters brought out from the bubble universes.
So while we haven't seen much in Genshin that links the two, we at least know they are in the same continuity. There is even a popular theory that the travelers are from Project Ark, a last-ditch effort of the old civilization of Earth to send human genome into space to find an alternate world for humanity. But I don't think this is the case because the Ark was only looking within the same universe instead of the multiverse, so while there may be a chance, I don't think this is the same people. Anyway, going off of that, in the manga of Honkai called Alien Space, there is a race of aliens introduced called the Sky People. Already a very telling name because of how the skies fall, Celestia and all that. Now the Sky People, they are a warmongering race that search other planets within the multiverse for potential civilizations to harvest Honkai energy from. They look for planets with high Honkai energy but have a weaker civilization than they do. Once they find these civilizations, they invade them and harvest the Honkai energy. However, as Honkai energy levels are positively correlated to the level of civilization, meaning the more advanced the civilization, the more energy they will have, when the Sky People find less civilized planets, they are given time to mature for a better harvest. They also fear civilizations that are far stronger than they are and actively avoid them, going so far as to sacrifice scouts if they encounter one. They cut all comlinks and set the scout ship, which are asteroids, more on that later. They set their space vessels to collide with the star in the hopes that it will destroy all evidence of life and prevent any possibility of their homeland being found. Now, I'm not saying these guys are the ones that are invading Teyvat, as Honkai's version is a grand scale since Honkai is a multiverse spanning lore. But what if we take that and compact it down to something more appropriate for Genshin? What if Celestia is part, or at least a counterpart, of the Sky People? I also say part because the Sky People scour multiverses for civilizations, meaning there is potential that they also found Teyvat, as like I said, Genshin and Honkai are in a shared continuity. I say continuity because they aren't necessarily in the same universe because, you know, multiverse and infinite possibilities and all that. Anyway, I have no evidence to say that they are the same Sky People, so instead let's look at it from a different angle and instead think of them as the counterpart for Genshin. Teyvat is a place ripe for power, which comes in two forms: worship and elemental power, and probably abyss power, which is cultivated by the gods who come in many forms: the Seelie, the Archons, the Messengers of Heaven, and even the evil gods, all of which seek out humanity in a bid to have them worship them or to guide humanity into prosperity. What if the cycle of prosperity, where humanity prosper and then gets destroyed by the gods, is all part of their elaborate scheme to harvest their power and energy? We know of many civilizations that have come and gone in Teyvat, and all of them seemingly destroyed by the gods themselves. We also know that progress can bring destruction onto a nation, as said by Raiden A. How does progress directly correlate to elemental power though? Or worship? It might be the same as Honkai energy, where the progression of civilization directly correlates to the Honkai levels. Kind of like in a Kardashev scale, the more energy in our universe we are able to harness, the higher the rank our civilization is. Elemental power is somewhat the same. The more elemental power they are able to harness, the more advanced their civilization is. A great example of this is Fontaine. As with the few interactions we've had with Fontaine in Inazuma, they were able to use elemental beings such as the Tatarigami to create the Tatarasuna Forge and the weaponry of Inazuma, as well as many other inventions. We also hear from them that they do have a lot of inventions in Fontaine that use elemental power. So maybe as civilizations progress, they use more and more elemental power, thus also harnessing more and more elemental power. Back to the gods though, they might have destroyed Khaenri'ah as well due to them being ripe with power already, using the art of Kemiya. Why do they do this though? Well, there are a few reasons I can think of. The easiest of which is, well, they see themselves as a higher being and use humanity as a kind of resource or cattle. But I think this is too simple, and if the Archons and some evil gods like Orobashi are to be examples, they actually like humanity to the point that they would sacrifice themselves to keep them safe. So what else may be the reason? Well, what if it's to delay the arrival of the will of the Honkai? Since we established earlier that they are in the same continuity, it's not too far-fetched to think that Honkai also exists in the world of Teyvat, because the Honkai is a multiverse-spanning force or law, if you will. It is present in every single universe in the imaginary tree. In the Honkai lore, the Honkai will do its best to destroy any traces of humanity or any life that they did not create. But like in Honkai, they are also drawn to the advancement of civilization, and will awaken and attack earlier should humanity advance faster than normal. Humanity has been battling and losing against the Honkai in a cyclical nature, just like the civilizations of Teyvat. And like in the Honkai manga, there are other civilizations like the Sky People that also do this under the nose of the will of Honkai. Aether and Lumine come from a world where their home was just destroyed, possibly maybe by the Honkai. Not too sure about that one, but we just know that they came from a ruined world. We know this from their character cards. They read as follow. Don't lose faith in that which you have lost. In this new world, you will never be alone. Where you leave your footprints and where you have yet to stride, your new world will unfold before you. Welcome to a new world. The world you once knew is but dust, and the wonders you knew but rubble. Though you should have your own world and your own people, lamenting what is already lost. Maybe our sibling found out that Celestia is doing the same thing as the Honkai, but on a much smaller scale, which is why our sibling is dead set on destroying the foundations of this world, because they make a mockery of what happened to their own world. Also, fun fact about the Sky People in Honkai, when they are traveling worlds to find suitable civilizations, they use things known as Vanguard Stones, which are spacefaring vessels meant to look like asteroids. This way, when greater civilizations than them see these, they don't suspect it to be a scouting force. But you know who arrived in Teyvat in meteorites? Which are essentially just small asteroids? Yep, the Travelers. Coincidence? Maybe. We've seen a lot of parallels between Honkai and Genshin, usually in names but maybe also in themes. That's because like Genshin, Honkai also takes a lot of inspiration from Gnosticism. In Honkai, the Demiurge is the will of Honkai, or at least that's the theory for it. Like I said though, pretty insane theory I made on a whim after deep diving into Honkai's lore, which I am still reading and trying to understand. But let me know what you guys think about this theory. Is it possible that Celestia is trying to avoid utter destruction by the Honkai? Or is this just a coincidence and the Sky People have nothing to do? Or rather, Celestia is not even a counterpart of the Sky People? Let me know in the comments down below, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Goodbye.